Hey, you crafty wizard. Today, we're going to make a gnome. Yes, you heard me right. A gnome out of yarn.
Ho ho ho!
Gnomes are known for their sassiness. Proceed with caution. All right, let's kick things off with the body. Take your yarn, any color you like, because this gnome doesn't judge. Cut a long piece and start wrapping it around your fingers or a clover pom-pom maker like the one I'm using now. Think of it like you're making a tiny yarn burrito. The more layers, the fatter your gnome. And who doesn't love a chubby gnome?
Here's a fun fact. Legend says that gnomes only come alive at night. But only if you've made them with love. So, if you wake up tomorrow and find your gnome moving around, don't panic. It's probably just looking for snacks or a tiny pointy hat to borrow.
Now, grab a piece of yarn and tie it around the middle of your yarn burrito. This is the magic moment you're creating a tiny gnome belly. Tie it tight, like you're securing a package of, I don't know, gnome snacks. Trust me, you'll want this thing to stay together. A loose gnome is a sad gnome.
Fun fact, gnomes are obsessed with their noses. They're practically the most important part of their entire being. In fact, in ancient gnome lore, they say the bigger the nose, the more wisdom you get. So, if your gnome ends up with a big, glorious nose, you've basically created a tiny, wise gnome guru.
Ho ho ho!
Now, onto the most important part. The hat. Because, let's be real, what's a gnome without a pointy hat? It's basically just a confused little man with no style. Grab some yarn in a bold color. You can go classic red or, if you're feeling wild, go for green. Gnomes are rebels that way. Grab an empty toilet paper roll. Cut off about ½ inch of that bad boy. Now, you've got the base of your gnome's hat. Fancy, huh? Now take about 15 inches of yarn. Tie the yarn tightly around the top of the roll. It's like giving your gnome a cozy little sweater, but for his head. You're basically creating a tiny hat for a tiny head. If you mess up, no worries. It's a gnome, not a fashion show. Tie the ends with a thin piece of yarn.
Grab a pom-pom or a small ball of yarn. It's gonna be the gnome's nose. Glue it on right in the center of the body. Oh yes, it's gonna be adorable.
Ho ho ho!
Take your body and glue the hat right on top, like you're giving your gnome a little yarn wig. Stick that pom-pom nose on and boom, you have a gnome.
Ho ho ho!